Friday night on BBC1 kicks off with Weekend Watchdog at 7, followed by Sarah Cox running through this week's Top of the Pops.
Well, that looks like real fun. Can I have a go?
Yeah, go on.
Shall I?
Yeah,
okay.
Why not?
Coming up on Talking TV.
I'll be going behind the scenes of Blue Peter.
Come. Oh,
Paul Hendy will be meeting Heathrow Airport's most unusual vicar.
I want a pink jacuzzi for 6 persons.
And we'll be finding out why the Flower Pot Men are set to make a comeback.
How was that?
That wasn't bad, actually. Not bad at all.
Now, my challenge today is to do your job. What exactly do you do?
Well, I'm a continuity announcer, which means that I'm the voice people hear when they're sitting at home watching their television, linking the programmes, basically.
And what are the most important qualities that that kind of voice should convey, do you think?
Well, I think warmth and friendliness are absolutely crucial. You also need to have some kind of authority about you. If you're going into one of the main news bulletins, for example, you need to be able to sound like you're in charge, to convey that this is important.
So do you practice just before you go on?
Yeah,
So, for example,
generally
what
speaking.
might you say into that?
Well, at this moment, in fact, I'm going to have to stop you because we've got a junction to do.
OK.
Yeah, so we've got to get out of this programme and into the next one.
Hannah's one of a team of 24 continuity announcers. They work a 6-hour shift throughout the day and night. The job requires technical skills. The announcers are responsible for fading up their own microphones and mixing in the music. They also have to be able to write. They script the words between the programmes, known as the junctions.
Bob's here with Wipeout on BBC1 in half an hour. First, a cyber creation from real rooms.
But the first thing I learn is toilet training.
I'm sorry about this, but this is
I want to stress here that I am not the sort of girly girl that goes to the lavatory with other girls ever. Why am I here?
Okay.
You've made me come.
No, you're here because of this button here, okay? When you need to come to the loo and you say to your network director, hello, can I go please now? You come in here and whichever network you're on, BBC1 or BBC2, you put the switch to that. There's BBC1. And there's BBC2.
Now, why do you need to listen to it so attentively while on the loo?
In case there's a breakdown, so you can hear when a breakdown's happening. And
what do you need to do?
Leap gracefully off the loo and run along the corridor pulling your trousers up.
Next stop, network control, where all the programmes are transmitted from.
These are the engineers, very, very important.
It's like being in a spaceship, isn't it?
It is. It's like the Starship Enterprise.
It is, it's mission control.
Network control is the nerve centre of the BBC, and it's crammed full of high-tech equipment. It's here that the BBC's continuity announcers make the channel appear seamless. And an announcer can only link into a show if he knows what's in it.
So this is the library where all the VHS tapes are kept that I need to look at before writing my scripts.
Do you get to watch EastEnders before anyone else in the country?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's a privilege, you know.
Do you get to resist ringing your friends and telling them what's been going on?
I can be very discreet when I want to be, but that's the tape that goes missing. We're not supposed to take tapes out of here without notifying our wonderful librarians, but the EastEnders tape goes missing, and there's emails flying around the department, there's irate directors and announcers who actually need to watch it in order to write their scripts and get their shifts sorted, and we've had to keep it under lock and key at certain times.
Now, what are we looking for?
I'm leading you in here because these are standby tapes, so if, for example, the golf decides to finish 2 hours earlier than planned, we need to play something else. We can't have nothing on air. So these are all standby tapes, so just, you know, grab one at random and we'll see what we've got. Does it say on there?
Video Nation Shorts.
OK, so that's something we could play out. They are quite short.
Do you get to choose it yourself, which one you put
No. This is BBC Education Brazil 2000 filler. That sounds tremendously exciting, doesn't it? Right, well, this is a spare suite that we can use for training. So, hot seat is yours.
Right.
And what we'll do is just run through a couple of bits of script.
I may be a seasoned broadcaster, but I've still got to practice as it's such a precise job.
Watching CBBC with Anna and Mike.
When you're reading, you've got to keep an eye on the clock, watch for last-minute changes to the schedule, and operate the faders and background music. It's pretty confusing.
Yeah, and bring it down when you start talking.
With the best lineup in the afternoon, you're watching CBBC with Anna and Michael.
Lovely. There you are. And you had a smile in your voice, which is good. Lovely. The only thing I would say is that it sounds a bit like it's being read, but I mean, that's inevitable.
Well, go on, you do
at
it.
first.
Do the with the best lineup in the afternoon bit.
With the best lineup in the afternoon, you're watching CBBC with Anna and Michael.
You're flying with Vanessa Airways. And to the left and right, you will find your escape route. To the left, to the right.
Ever fancied your moment in the limelight? One way to guarantee 15 minutes of fame is to appear on a TV game show. Now, there is a man who's had 15 minutes of fame 20 times over, because that's how many game shows he's appeared on. Though I do think he's had some help from up above. He works here at Heathrow Airport as a chaplain. I didn't know they had a chapel at Heathrow Airport. The Reverend Father David Smith has appeared on 20 quiz and game shows, from The Price is Right to Crosswits. Father David, thank you for inviting us into the prayer room here at Heathrow. I have to say, you don't strike me as a typical game show contestant.
Well, I'd really like to know what a typical game show contestant looks like, but I have made it one of my main hobbies in life to appear on television game shows.
And the winner, with a magnificent 158 seconds by 1 second, is the Reverend David Smith.
Not only has he appeared, but he's won a total of 7 times.
I won a very nice Caribbean cruise, a Jeep, and then I won something that every vicarage should have. I won a pink jacuzzi for 6 persons. The best prize was on Busman's Holiday, where myself and Sister Rita, the Catholic nun, and Pastor Barry Clark, Baptist chaplain at Birmingham University, we won an audience with the Pope. And poor old Pastor Barry Clark, the Baptist minister, hadn't even told his flock that he was going on the show, let alone shake hands with the Holy Father.
And let's not forget the mementos. Do you go always turn up in your dog collar?
Always.
And I suppose it gives the game show host something to talk about.
And you say that being a clergyman can be dangerous because somebody once poured over you, accidentally, some domestos. And they got arrested for a breach of the priest.
Now, you seem to have a very good personality. Is that the trick to being a good game show contestant?
Not really, because the way to get on a game show is quite simply to find out who's producing the show and write in for an application form.
Meet the quiz show king. He's responsible for some of the most popular game shows on TV. Your fate is in his hands.
We're out there begging for people. We advertise for people to go on shows. Just write in and you get an application form, you complete it.
You have to remember that, well, for the very first Wheel of Fortune that I was on, they had about 30,000 applications. So some poor people are filing through these and they've got to find something different. So on the form where it said, please attach a photograph, I did something very reprehensible. I attached a photograph of Julian Clary, because it didn't say of me.
A round of applause for our 3 contestants.
So how do they go about picking the contestants?
And the producers sort out a certain number of interviews in cities all around Britain, and we have interview centres at hotels, and you have an interview session which then we choose from.
What I do is I get there terribly early, and I establish myself in a corner of the lounge with a newspaper and a cup of coffee, and I pretend to be rather more superior than those people who are attending the game show audition. So when the researcher comes down and says, who's for the game show? Then they all go up and I follow up behind. It makes them feel rather ill at ease.
The audition itself is a 50-minute long exercise in which you answer questions, you talk about yourself in front of other people. You're not all on your own. But it's stress, relax, stress, relax. We've got a clinical psychologist to actually devise it for us. So it's actually far worse pressure than if you were ever on television.
The producers need to know that when the cameras and lights are on you, you're not going to crack under the stress.
Tumbling.
And one man who knows about putting the contestants at ease is Nicholas Parsons.
I always used to meet the contestants before, chat to them, get to know them, and I said, live later in the show, when I put the pressure on and go very quiet. If I sort of cut you off or snap at you just to keep the thing moving, realise that I am basically working for you, because look at it logically, win or lose, the more questions I get in, the more money you're likely to make.
Guess what, Nicholas?
What?
We're going to put you on the spot here.
Right.
We've got some general knowledge questions for you.
Dear. Oh dear.
All about
They always do
TV
this.
quiz shows and TV game shows.
They always do this, don't they? Right. Fine.
So here we go. From London, it's the quiz of the week. What was the first TV quiz show back in 1938?
38, oh, it would be something like...
No idea.
Spelling bee.
Correct answer. Who presented Every Second Counts?
Every second counts.
Paul Daniels.
Correct.
Is it Paul Daniels?
Name the first game show on Channel 4.
I'm I'm not doing very well, am I?
Countdown.
Countdown.
Correct. What was the most overused saying on Blockbusters?
Oh, give us a pea, Paul.
Give me a pea, Bob.
Can I have a P, please, Bob?
Here's the correct answer. That's the last question. There goes the buzzer. Let me see how many you got. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Lots.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's not bad,
So what's the
Stephen.
prize?
The
Come on.
prize is my BBC pen.
I've never had a BBC pen,
Yes.
actually. That's rather nice.
15 to 1.
The Reverend David makes his 21st quiz show appearance today. See if he can add to his range of mementos this afternoon on 15 to 1.
Well, I wasn't going to come all the way to the BBC without having a good snoop round. Well, let's see what's going on in Studio 4. Come on.
At 42 years of age, Blue Peter is the oldest children's programme on TV. It's the show that brought us sticky back plastic and had us saving cardboard loo rolls. But the presenters have changed a bit since I used to watch.
In my day, it was Valerie Singleton. She would never have done that. Never.
Who can forget the old days with Val, John and Pete?
Hello.
Hello.
Well, today is our last Blue Peter before we go off once again on our travels.
For the first 10 years, the show was broadcast in black and white, was always live and often unscripted.
Well, although we reached our target of 2 million...
The 70s brought us the trio in colour and some new
Since
hairstyles.
then, more and more have been pouring in.
Mabel's the latest in a long line of Blue Peter dogs. For the last 14 years, Leonie Pocock has made sure that Mabel and Lucy jump, sit and stand to attention. She looks after the dogs full time and brings them to the studio on the recording days twice a week. Today, Mabel's impersonating a greyhound. Leonie's job is to get her to run round a racetrack painted on the studio floor. Well, it sounds simple enough.
Come on, Mabel, come. Oh, she's... That is gorgeous. Come on, you darling.
He just really doesn't seem to want it. God, Lucy never worked with animals or children.
And you'll notice that she hasn't
And
got
that's
any tusks.
especially true when it comes to working with elephants.
The male elephants don't have tusks.
Oh, we're having a slight penny down here. A slight problem. You're supposed to be drinking.
When the dogs aren't hard at work, they get to play in the Blue Peter garden. Lucy and Mabel bring the total of Blue Peter dogs to 7, but over the years, one dog in particular has found a place in our hearts.
This is a memorial to Petra, the most famous Blue Peter pet ever. She became rather a saint, canonised by children and parents alike. But I have it on really good authority. She was actually a bit of a nipper. She nipped anyone who came anywhere near her. What many people don't know is that the original Petra puppy died tragically after just a few days, and they replaced her without any of the children watching the programme ever finding out. Shoots out of a yoghurt pot.
Here's one I made earlier, probably Blue Peter's most famous catchphrase, and the Tracy Island model was one of the most popular things they ever made. Its creator, Anthea Turner.
The brand new look.
We met up for a walk down memory lane, armed with my very own Tracy Island.
I've cut mine out.
Now, this was the most popular make ever on Blue Peter. I don't think people realise that the word that you use on Blue Peter is make for the things you make. A make. And this was the most popular. Do you know how many requests there were for the plan for making this?
I mean, so many that the office just couldn't handle it.
100,000 letters. Do you know why? What was the big deal with this, Tracy Island?
Well, this was, I mean, what was it, Pokemon's this Christmas?
Yeah.
And the Christmas before, I don't know, it was Teletubbies or something. There's always something that people can't get hold of. And that's what happened, and it was a Christmas, and all of a sudden Thunderbirds was back, and everybody wanted Tracy Island, and I don't think the manufacturers had really realised there was going to be such a demand for it. Shops had sold out, couldn't get any more, and so Blue Peter decided to come to the rescue. And then, of course, I had to be taught how to do it. But when you're making something on Blue Peter, this is not just sort of making it and pootling around and then coming back to it an hour later and having a little fiddle like you probably did when you were
I did. It took me really the whole weekend.
I had to
in
get it
dribs and
down
drabs.
to 12 minutes.
Really, is it? So, Brains, I hope you're pleased with your brand new home.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. Here's Paul Hendy with a story about some programmes we all remember that haven't been seen for years.
There was a man called Uncle Sam, fa la 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 la.
Our favourite children's TV programmes will always hold a special place in our hearts and take us back to a carefree time.
You want the chance to prance over to France. I see.
From Jack and Ori to the Teletubbies, there's one woman who's witnessed how children's programmes have changed firsthand.
Over to France.
In the old days, there was a bit of adults talking down to children and doing what they thought was good for them, and presenters were very different in those days. They were very formal. But now I think it's all much more relaxed, and also children's voices are heard much more.
A visitor from France.
Over the last 50 years, children's programmes have grown up. When Muffin the Mule started in 1946, there was only 1 hour of children's programming per week. Nowadays, there are 8 dedicated channels. Oh!
Good morning, son. Good morning, car.
In this high-tech age, it's surprising that one of the BBC's biggest successes recently is Noddy, perhaps because they're still great stories, although Noddy and Big Ears did have to clean up their act first. Following the return of the politically correct Noddy to our screens, the Watch With Mother classics are set for a second childhood. Noddy has now been translated into 40 languages, including Icelandic and Latin. Amazingly, the BB's now thinking about bringing back some other old favourites. How are the string-operated puppets going to cut it with today's kids? So with all this technology, isn't it a surprise that shows like The Wooden Tops and Andy Pandy are coming back?
I think it's probably something to do with adults remembering their own childhood and trying to find what they perceive as idyllic childhood programmes for their own children.
Bill and Ben are not only cutting their puppet strings, we can now reveal that Weed can actually speak. So that's the end of a load of old flobberdob. But with Teletubby sales in the region of 330 million and Noddy selling over 500 different products, children's programmes are no longer child's play. Now, being just a little bit cynical, do you think money's got anything to do with it?
I think everything is to do with money, and I think that obviously merchandising and marketing and licensing is very important these days. And I think if you look at successes in those terms, like the Teletubbies, this is obviously an area where potentially there is money to be made.
I don't know. Some people never grow up. And now back to Vanessa through the round window.
Hi, Emlyn.
Hello, Vanessa.
It's really nice to meet you.
Well, it's wonderful for you to be here. What do you think of our CBBC studio?
I think it's fantastically yellow, actually.
It
Very
is,
bright.
Is it bigger or smaller than you thought?
I suppose it's a bit smaller than I thought it would be. Do you spend most of your time in here?
Yes, most of the time. Sometimes I sleep under the desk here, or I sort through the mail or read the emails. It's very exciting.
Sometimes you do the continuity announcing on BBC, don't you?
Yes, I do, yes.
Do you have any tips? Because I'm here to learn to be a continuity announcer.
You've come to the right place. First of all, you need to focus and breathe gently, like this. That's it. Sigh louder. That's brilliant. And then you need to focus. So think about what you're going to say. Like, I like to concentrate and picture a beautiful beach. That makes me very calm.
Okay, I'm doing that.
And then when you speak, put a little flourish in it. So a little bit of pitch, light and shade, as they say. Light and shade.
Light and shade.
That's it. And, I like to do a little bit of a laugh, like this. Maybe that needs a little work on. Yeah. Fantastic. And I think that's all you need to do, really. Flourish, breathe, laugh, and focus.
Let me just try. Breathe, focus, flourish.
Flourish.
Okay, well, thanks very much. I'll try and keep all those things in mind.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going off to do, because it's my turn to try announcing right now.
I've got an hour before my 2 live continuity links, and there's still lots to learn.
Update of the BBC News, now on BBC1 with George Alagaya.
I've still got to get to grips with my timings and the technology, and there's always a few last-minute changes to be made to the script. Programmes often run over or under time, so the words can be cut or changed just seconds before you go on air.
And the network director would be telling you that. Now, you're only in the seat for a few minutes, but you need to know about breakdowns. You know, what would you say in a breakdown?
Something like, I'm afraid we seem to be having a bit of a problem with Through the Keyhole this afternoon, but we're looking into it and we'll bring it back to you as soon as possible. Meanwhile, please enjoy this piece of music.
Yeah, that would be fine. We hope to bring it back to you as soon as possible.
We will.
We will.
Okay.
Never promise.
Okay.
Ever.
Right.
Well, looking at the scripture, I wonder if I should read it like this. Another 2 homes on view tomorrow at the same time here on BBC1.
I'd rather you didn't.
This is direct television from the studios at Alexander Palace.
Fortunately, those days are long, long behind us. What we care about is being natural and friendly and yourself.
So is it time for me to actually try my hand at really doing this now?
I think it is. We've got a junction for you. Do you want to do that? Into
Yes,
Bergerac?
I do.
In real BBC1?
Into Bergerac, absolutely.
Here we
Hello.
go.
This is the BBC
Don't you
television.
dare!
It's my big moment. I've got Hannah's script for my 2 live links.
Hello, can we do a quick level in here with Vanessa, please? Stick on your headphones. Is that all right? Can we just have a go now?
In one ear, I can hear the network director, and in the other, the programme's sound. My first link's going to be over the end of Neighbours. As well as my delivery, I need to remember my faders and listen out for my cue.
2, 1. Different cue.
We've got the keys to 2 more celebrity homes in 50 minutes on BBC1, but next we're Jersey-bound with Bergerac. Or over on BBC2, there's Western Adventure with Clark Gable in Across the Wide Missouri.
Sound back up.
Well done.
1 down, 1 to go.
Fader now as well, because you need to dip that slightly when you open your fader to talk there.
10 seconds.
And remember to open it completely when you talk.
Coming to con next. Stand by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On mic up. 6.
Publish and be damned now on BBC1, but not everyone's so sure.
Lovely.
You did
Lovely.
it. You did it. How did it
Blimey.
feel?
It felt really scary.
Come on, you've presented live programmes. That can't have been scary.
It is because it's so precise. That's why, because
Yeah.
you've only got 6 seconds, whereas on a live programme, you've got much longer to get it wrong or right.
Absolutely. Sit yourself down.
Right.
Let's have a look and have a listen.
See how I did.
The quality may not be great of the tape, but we'll have a go. See, we lost the beginning of that because the mic wasn't far enough.
But next, we're Jersey-bound with Bergerac. Publish and be damned now on BBC1, but not everyone's so sure. No?
It was okay. It was okay.
What's wrong with that? Publish and be damned now on BBC1, but not everyone's so
Well, it
sure.
was all
That
terribly
fine.
kind of factual and kind of, it's gone. You know, publish and be damned now on BBC1. You know, you kind of said, publish and be damned now. But, it just didn't sound like you were kind of enjoying the words enough. And I know that sounds a bit silly and a bit camp, but actually, it's what makes the difference.
I think I was scared by the 6-second thing.
Absolutely,
5-second
it's very
thing.
quick. Very
Yeah,
quick
very
symbol.
quick.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you see what I mean? That sounded just a little bit panicky. But actually, you know, it was okay. First go, heavens above.
That's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching.
It's goodbye from me!
And it's goodbye from him.
Talking TV returns to our screens on April the 28th, when we'll be going behind the scenes of the Antiques Roadshow and meeting its brand new presenter. And Paul Hendy will be finding out what it takes to read the weather.